Hello everyone, good morning, good evening. I hope you're having a good start of the week. So today we are going to discuss about the real-time challenges of product backlog and what are the different priority techniques we will use for the product backlog. So if you're someone who is interested in product management and QA concepts, continue watching and share your feedback, which will help me grow in this journey. So, so let's deep dive into the challenges and then we'll go to the different types or techniques of prioritization. So, what are the challenges that we face with product backlog if it is not prioritized? So I hope you're aware what is product backlog. If not, please do watch my previous videos where we have discussed about all these concepts. And today, so I'm just continuing with what are the challenges that we see with product backlog. Since the product backlog is a list of user stories and features which can be for the upcoming iterations or sprints, or it can be for the coming PI or for upcoming next year theme based. We have started working on certain features and we have broken down that into user stories. All right, so that can be the reason that we will have a list of different user stories. Now we need to prioritize this to basically understand what feature or what user story we need to take it first and start working on that. The challenge here or the reason is the features are something that is very directly related to the business users or to the customer. So there is a chance that if we have not implemented it, we have missed that opportunity of satisfying the customer with that particular pain point, giving a solution to that pain point. So we will have a missed opportunity which will lead to a frustrated users, and also this will impact the business in turn. So that is the very first reason that we need to have this prioritization done for the backlog. Second reason is basically like now we started, suppose we have started working on one particular feature, and we understood that we will that particular feature was not the prioritized feature or was not in need immediately to be released, but we went ahead and worked on that. So it's basically like we have wasted the effort of the development team, we have wasted the resources, and ultimately it is not making any sense because we are not going to release that, right? Because the business was not in need of that immediately, for that matter. So it's a wastage at our organization level too, that we are not appropriately utilizing the resources that we are being provided with. And the third reason is this will be having a misalignment with our product roadmap and vision too. Because we thought this is something on priority and we started working on it, maybe that may not lead us to the product roadmap or the ultimate vision the organization and business agreed upon. So because of all these challenges, we need to work towards prioritizing our product backlog. So let's discuss now on the different techniques that we need to use this priority or product backlog. So let's deep dive first into the very basic prioritization technique that we use, which is none other than Moscow technique, which is must have, should have, could have, and won't have. So with the words itself, you would have now got it to understand what is must have. That is, this is very much required, and should have is something that needs to be there, but it can take its own time to get into the product, but it should be there. But ultimately, it should be there. And could have is something like it's good to have, like it's not that needed, but it is good to have. And won't have is something that we are not planning to include it because it's not making any big impact, or it's not making any impact to the customer if that functionality gets into productions too. Based on all of these four different categories, we will now segregate our stories and features. and based on that we will be making that selection. And the second technique is basically the value proposition technique. That means each feature we will be deciding or gauging what is the business value or value it is going to bring to the end user. Based on that value, we are going to segregate or prioritize or put that in the form which has the most impactful, which is little lesser, and the least impactful features. Based on that also we will be able to prioritize our backlog. And the third type is basically the risk based prioritization. That means we are trying to understand what are the potential or very high risk functionality which needs to be addressed immediately, without which it can be a potential issue to the customer. So based on that risks that we see, for example, for a banking application, any security related or breach of data related functionality is the utmost important functionality or feature that has to be taken, because that's the very important thing to a customer from a banking product perspective. So based on the risk that we see, we will be prioritizing, because we are anticipating what is the potential in issue that user can receive or see in case if this high risk feature has not been taken into consideration. Based on that also we will be prioritizing, and this is also one of a technique which is being utilized in the organizations for the product backlog. So these are the techniques that will help us to decide which approach to be taken for prioritizing the backlog. Apart from that, to support all these techniques, we also do some data driven assessment of these features, like understanding the market trends, maybe the understanding the dynamics of current technology or the feature or the product, to understand where exactly the product is heading towards, and making sure that are we meeting that, understanding our competitors, talking with the users to understand their current pain points. These are different data driven assessments which will also help us in deciding that how we need to pivot from our initial strategy to make sure that we are able to match up with what is the current market trend too. So in Agile, prioritization of the features will be generally happening based on all the techniques that I've just discussed, and also based on the data points that I've told you, that we'll do a market research, we'll try to understand the competitors, and we'll talk with the customers to understand which is their real-time pain point right now, which is the highest priority for us to fix. And based on all of these we will be deciding our epics features and then breaking them down into user stories. And now as a team we need to work towards assigning the story points, which will help us gauge how much of work is needed for that user story to be finished. This will help in deciding that this priority user story will take this much of time, and then if the resource or the time is not sufficient, accordingly we can work with our business and project management team and get the appropriate resources and get that done if it's a time constraint, or else we are just communicating that this is a high feature and this is the story which will require this much of story points to get that accomplished. So assigning story points will help the team and the business in understanding in the ground level that how much of time it will take for that particular feature which we prioritize to go to the production. Based on this, the team and the business can work towards how we need to plan. If it's something that time constraint, then we need to work towards that by having some trade-off discussion or including certain other resources so that we can try to finish that. Finally, we will now discuss the best practices as a product owner or manager or any product related role to make sure that we are prioritizing and our backlog is healthy enough is basically going through periodically reviewing our backlog, understanding what is the pain points right now, are we aligning, our priorities are correctly set, and working with the team accordingly, because as I mentioned earlier that market dynamics like trends, maybe new technology intervention would have certain impact to our prioritization too, because the product will have in turn some changes. So based on that criterias, we may have to make sure that our priority is accordingly aligned and we take up the stories accordingly. Second, talking with the customer, working closely with the customer to understand their current pain point will also help us in deciding what is the right now need for the customer. Based on that also we will be able to prioritize. And third, communicating with the product, project and team will help us making sure our objectives are correctly delivered with customer satisfaction. I hope this video was helpful. If it is so, please give your feedback, which will help me and motivate me for my next video. Thank you everyone.